Hey, it's Kaylee. You know me as the Parts Girl, and I work here at PartsEdge. Thanks for following this awesome journey as we highlight thought leaders and trailblazers, share best practices in fixed ops, and cover success stories of how dealers sell more parts and service. This is the PartsEdge podcast with Kaylee Filio. Hey everyone, today I'm talking with someone who has lived the car business his entire adult life, Joe Shaker. I was actually really nervous to interview him, so you might notice in the beginning that I was all jumbled, and he's just got an impressive background. He became a dealer principal at just 24 years old and has grown the Shaker Auto Group to 7 thriving locations across New England. Now let's go back to the fact that he became a dealer principal at 24 years old. What were you all doing when you were 24 years old? This is incredibly impressive. He's also been recognized as the 2022 Massachusetts Dealer of the Year award. He was also a nominee for the Time Magazine's National Dealer of the Year. On top of that, he served on multiple OEM advisory boards and even founded an internet-based used vehicle exchange company before most of us were thinking that way. So today we're actually diving into the role he has now as CEO and co-founder of TruVideo, an AI-powered video and messaging platform that's transforming how dealerships communicate with their customers. What really stuck out to me in this interview is he led with that he went to his customers, and really what it boiled down to is the lack of trust. So we get into video, AI, innovation, customer experience, why trust and transparency can't just be a buzzword, and how better communication can completely change revenue, retention, and the way your customers feel about service. If you've ever wondered what really moves the needle in customer experience beyond workflow and reports, this episode is for you, so let's dive in. Hi everyone, welcome to the PartsEdge podcast. I'm very excited to be interviewing Joe Shaker. Welcome to the podcast. Yeah, it's been a long time. I think we rescheduled a couple times, and now I know a lot more about you, which is incredible. Like, I've heard your name, I've seen it, I've heard of now I'm all jumbled and a little nervous. TruVideo. But now I get to interview you and ask you a bunch of questions. So
Absolutely. Let's have some fun doing this.
yeah. So tell me, just like, let's start from the beginning, because one thing I actually didn't really realize is you have a dealer group, and you also have a company, a video company, or TruVideo. Tell me just kind of the backstory. How did it all started? What inspired you? You got sick of hearing certain things, so yeah.
Yeah, no. So I fear failure, and the joke I always tell people is I want to die a car dealer. So in order to do that, I think we need to change, the way we do business, and always need to improve. Everybody's always trying to get into our space and our business. So I just went and just go where you always go, and I went to customers, and I just started asking questions and saying, "How was your service?" And we got rave reviews. And I was just grabbing repair orders and calling people. And they said, bought 3 cars, love you guys. They knew the advisor by name. And it went really great. And at the end, I said, thanks. I really appreciate the comments. But I had one last question. Did you ever have any doubts? And every single one of these people are like, you're always going to have doubts, right? I don't even know what's going on back there. And that really changed everything for me, because I actually don't know any great relationships where someone in a party has doubt. And we had to get rid of doubt. And so I saw some video executions, and I said, well, why don't we start trying to do video? I had been investing into private transactions with a technology friend of mine. And I said, could you help me with this? And I want to try this out. We'll test it for a couple of years, see if it makes any sense. And it just exploded. And we ended up saying, well, we should make a company out of this. I just was doing it for my own business at first, and then it got into my 20 groups, and then into the 20 group guys, and everybody started using it, and then the rest is history. And, last month we did, I think, 24 million media files just in the month, and we touched 5 or 6 million individual customers.
That's incredible. And you were already doing good. You were already, like, your customers were somewhat happy. Like, they bought several cars from you, but your point of there was still some doubt. So how could you remove that doubt? And that's where this idea transpired.
Yeah, and I just kept digging because you can always have these like customer sit downs where you give them coffee and donuts and say, hey, we got to ask you some questions, but I wanted to keep digging and digging because if you're going to grow in life or in anything, you need adversity is a privilege, right? You need to run into problems or understand problems, and you can't ignore problems. And that was a problem. And we could have just flew right by that. I could have just said, thanks, we're doing great. Walked around, nice and tall that day. And I wouldn't have solved any problems. You just got to keep asking questions and to change the dynamic. And, up until then, trust and transparency was a punchline I heard at CMO conferences. And I'd be like, yeah, great. How do you execute? And no answer. You know what I mean? So that was really something that annoyed me as well. People talking about trust and transparency and this and using the word so loosely, but never saying how, the how. And that's what we always say all the time, especially when you're in 20 groups with dealers. They're like, well, we do this, and our numbers are this. And you're like, yeah, I don't want to know about your numbers. I could read them. Tell me the how. How are you getting those numbers? What is it because that's how what I want to learn. And so that's kind of, some of the thought process around, how we could conquer this trust and transparency and actually execute on it.
Yeah. And how many years has it been?
I think we started it as a company like in 17, but it was like we tested it for 2 years because my partner didn't need a day job. He had sold his first company to Quest Software and another one to Dell. And so he was like, he was doing okay and doing all these things, investing in deals. And I had a job too, right, at all the dealerships. So, we tested it first and just wanted to make sure that it was, that it was something that what we thought was actually something that was really going to catch on.
Yeah, and it has completely. Because like you had mentioned, you guys started it, and now you're powering X Time, CK, all of the video that is coming from them is you guys, correct?
Yeah, and Reynolds as well.
And Reynolds. Okay.
Yeah, Reynolds and TruVideo. We started direct, and then we started, really just focusing on communication. And we think that the thing that I learned as a dealer, which was funny, and I should have known this, and this is another punchline that you'll probably laugh at, but I say this to people all the time, is that like 98% of customer experience is how well or how poorly you communicate. It's probably like 90% of revenue. But the software that I use at the dealerships from my software partners is 98% of their development is on workflow, right? It's like, here's when the customer signs up, here's when the repair order, here's, so it's going through workflow. And the joke I always tell people is I never had a customer ever come up to me and say, I had a great experience at your dealership. You guys got great workflow. So it's not about the workflow. It's like literally if they focus 100% of their time on really getting their software to reporting and all the stuff with parts and service and labor and all the things that we try to look for, and then we spend 100% of our time on communication, then together we can really have a big impact on the dealerships and on the dealership customers because we're really focused on the things that matter to taking care of customers and running a dealership together versus, someone just the last 2% of their development trying to fix communication. It's never going to work. There's not enough focus on it.
That makes sense. And just to kind of pivot a little bit, one thing before we started recording, you said if you hear it one more time, you were going to stab your eye or stab something.
Yeah. I was joking around. I joke around all the time. When you hear some of these punchlines, one of them that I was talking to you about was declined repairs. So we're trained in this business to try to sell someone something, and when they don't buy it, chase them down for the declined repair. But there's two assumptions we're missing, and one of them I'll tell you a little bit about later when we started assessing the quality of the videos, is A, did you present everything? Because the presentation could be a problem, right? And B, did you show it in a video? Because a video takes declined repairs. If videos drive revenue and customer satisfaction, people must be declining less. So instead of chasing declined repairs, why don't we solve the problems that made people decline in the first place?
Yeah. Why
right?
Are they declining? Yeah, completely. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, well, I'll give you a great example. So, like, obviously, video, you show video, people will decline less repairs. 34% of videos are shared. I didn't even realize that until, we hit our 7 millionth video. We started analyzing the data. Like, what are customers doing? How many times are they watching? Are they sharing? I realized then that 34% of customers were sharing. That meant I was not talking to the decision maker or the co-decision maker when they were standing right in front of us at the dealership. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, that makes
So
sense.
so now we look at that and we say, okay, great. And that was one of the biggest reasons why people started buying more, is because not only was they were getting a video, but they were getting a video, and everybody had the same video through the whole communication chain. So usually techs would make 5 recommendations. Service advisors water them down to 3 because they're afraid, or
And make
because
assumptions.
they make assumptions. They're thinking with their wallet, and they're not the customers. Sometimes, and one of them that freaked me out was, and I knew it was happening, and I should have thought about it ahead of time, was they thought the tech was overselling. And I was like, damn, we're trying to solve trust with the customer, and we have an internal trust problem at the dealership. So either way, the 5 went to 3. They presented them verbally to the customer, and then the customer called somebody, evidently 34% of the time, based on our data, and they couldn't remember. Like, they were like, he said the XYZ boot, something, I don't know. And then the person I said, like, I don't know what you're talking about. Don't buy it. Don't do it. Whatever. So by having that one transparent message shared through every constituent, every stakeholder in the communication chain, that one message, clear, transparent from the doctor, not the receptionist, we think that was one of the largest reasons revenue popped. Many dealers tell me they think that's where the big gain came from. It wasn't seeing as much, it was fixing the communication chain. And there's an issue that I never realized we were going to solve.
Wow, that's incredible.
It's like playing phone game. When you're a kid, it's like a red bear, and then at the end, it's like a black dragon or something. You're like, how did we get here? It's only a color. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I have the perfect example. I have a friend that went to get a bunch of, I mean, she doesn't take care of her vehicle as good as I would like her to, but so there was a bunch of list of things that she needed to do, and she didn't know any of it or understand why. And I think that's what you guys are really focused on, is showing the why you need to do this. That builds the trust, right?
Well, that's a really good video, right? Is so people want to understand and see their tire or their brake. And so you get people say seeing is believing. I always get to hear people say that line. But, helping people understand is another thing that happens when you're showing that and you're on a video. People forget that there's narrative with the video. Like, they're like, oh, the video I could see. No, what about the person talking? You have this certified technician who's an expert who works on these cars all day, explaining to you, showing you, but then explaining. And if a picture paints 1,000 words, what does a video do? And do people read? People watch. And that's the other thing really that exploded. And I admit we're very lucky. Video is a human behavior today. It's not a customer behavior. I mean, last month, I think 913 billion videos were viewed in the United States just on YouTube. 8 billion a day on Facebook, right? So this is the way people consume information. So if you're not sending a video, you're not only not being transparent, you're not going to get your best sales and parts, you're not going to get all that, but you're not going to satisfy the customer, you're not going to build trust, and frankly, you're not speaking video. Like, you need to speak video. That'd be like having a bunch of German-speaking people work at a dealership in Boston, and you'd be like, you got to speak what we speak locally, or you don't want to have a sales staff that doesn't speak the language. So the language today is video. And if you look at all the customer behavior traits, video is it's a way of life. And it's, if you really say that phrase, meet customers where they are,
That's it.
then you're not sending them a video. Well, then don't say the phrase. You're not meeting them where they are.
Absolutely. If you really think about it too, you, like the point you made, people don't really read, and then when you're standing there getting all the information that you need, that needs to be done with your vehicle, it's just going whew, because you're thinking, how much is it going to cost, and how do I prepare for this, and not really knowing why. Because I think another thing we also forget being in the auto industry is, or we take for granted, is how much we know about our vehicles. The regular people that are outside of auto don't know it like we do. So it's
Right.
like we forget about that. I'm constantly bringing that up. I'm thankful I know a lot more than you know, and I didn't. What am I trying to say? You know what I'm trying to say.
No, I know. Hey, when I go to the doctor, I'm kind of hoping he knows more than I know. I
Yeah,
mean, you know what I
yeah.
mean? So it's the
Point.
same thing. You just, you go to experts because they're experts. And when they're able to show you everything and when they're able to explain everything, it changes the dynamic. The key thing I tell dealers all the time when we were starting this earlier, I kept telling them, listen, don't change the way you do business, just change the way you communicate. And it's made such a big difference in the approach with the customers. The customer satisfaction indexes have exploded. There's been so many good things that happened. Like, I've been kind of riding this wave, and it started from just wanting to do the right thing, and then every time something would happen, and somebody flips over another card, and we start to solve more and more problems and more problems, and we start learning about the communication chain, right? We didn't think of that when we started video. I just wanted customers to see things and
Yeah,
understand.
wanted to remove the doubt.
And then the next thing, communication chain, and then the next and the next and the next. We start learning so much about our customers. So that,
That's evolving, right? That's, you had this idea, you solve that, and then you just kind of, you're able to get attack, or not attack, but like build and evolve off of
yeah,
that.
yeah. Another feature would be like today, and a lot of people always want to talk to me about AR and AI and machine learning and stuff like that. And so one of the things that happened with us is we had dealers that really were killing it, and they're doing 80% of their customer facing repair orders, which is warranty and customer pay. We're getting videos, and they go, man, we're doing 8%. Like, what's the next step? And we go, the next step is quality, right? Because if you're taking a lot of videos but they stink, you're really having a bad experience for the customer. So we used machine learning, and we trained on all these videos. Another thing I didn't realize, I'm going to surprise you with how much stuff I don't know, but we had all these videos. I never realized I could use that data of all those videos to train models through machine learning to watch videos and tell me if the technician did a good job or not a good job, or if they followed the process.
So, yeah.
Right? So I'll give you a great example. One of the larger dealer groups it's one of the largest in the United States. We're looking at their videos, and I'll give you an example. So we saw, and this has to do a lot with parts, by the way. So let's bring up some parts action.
I was about to, actually, so thank you. You
Right,
clearly
so-
have done this before.
Yeah. Plus, I know the parts to labor ratio at all the stores, so the matrix. We can talk and talk. I love it. What's
Okay.
stock and non-stock? Let's go. I could talk
Okay,
the
we're
parts
gonna
stuff.
get
So,
there.
but we won't get there. But
No, I'm gonna get there.
here's the thing. This group was mentioning filters 11% of the time, and only showing filters 10% of the time. Now, a filter is something that people buy every year. Tires, brakes, those aren't bought for 3 years, 2.5, 4 years, whatever. And for some reason, the technicians were like, I don't know, I don't feel like it. Now, if I was in the finance department, you have to do 100% of the product 100% of the time, and you have to follow this. With technicians, they were filling out an MPI, but they might have looked at it, might not. And in the old days, we used to say, don't pencil whip the MPI, all good. That's not the point. Well, the same thing can happen with a video. And in this example, the take rate on a filter is probably 25%. If you mention it to a customer, if you show it to a customer, it's probably more. But let's just say it's 25%. $60 job, 25% take rate. So let's call it $15. And these guys do 200,000 videos a month. That's $3 million a month and $36 million a year, and we didn't get past filter. Okay, so, and what is that? That is by being able to monitor the video using machine learning and recognizing the tire, recognizing undercarriage, recognizing all these things that we've trained our own models on, we're able to see whether a technician did a good job or not. What's the other way you can do that? Like start watching millions of videos. How do you have time for that? And then how do you grade them? So we have a grading and set. We can adjust the grading. If tires are more important, we can make tires higher grade. And that VQS is like, you know, as they would say in today's lingo, low key is like the number one thing that all the large dealer groups and OEMs are, call us in for and say, can you educate us on this? How does this work? Because think about that filter story and what that means for the parts department.
Yeah.
And that's one item. If you don't show it, if you don't say it, you're not going to sell it. And now this comment I just made to you circles back to somebody asking me about declined repairs. And I'm like, why should we worry about did you send a video, which would reduce declined repairs? And not only that, did you actually follow the process and show items that people would have bought? So if you don't do the first steps right, why are we so focused on the last steps? When you didn't get let's recover from doing things poorly. That's not the right way to do it. Let's do the best we can, and then let's actually see how many repairs were declined.
Yeah. That's not a good stat if you're not actually doing the first two steps, right?
If you don't present it well and you don't show it transparently, you're going to have a big number and you're going to chase your failures, and we don't want to chase our failures.
Yeah, and you said that before. I don't know if we were recording yet, but you definitely said that before. So, gosh, I have so many questions. This is why I always follow questions, like there's suggestions, and then I just kind of like think of them as we go, because it's the best way to do it.
I'm with you.
Yeah. So you're more than just providing a way to give quality video. You're also built a process to analyze where things can get improved and show them, because no one has time for it. We don't have time to look back of where people are breaking in the process. You're showing that, right? And then
because we train to processes today.
Yeah.
And then the only question I have after we do all the training and then retraining, because we go around in a circle, is once you set up your processes and systems and you train to it, there's only one thing to do after that, is inspect what you expect. And then if you're on it all the time, if everybody on the team knows that the process is, we're paying attention, then people stick with the process. That no one lets human nature kick in and starts dropping it and says, well, I've been in this business all day. I think I know better than, the ownership. I'm just going to do it my way. No, you don't have that. You have a process, a system. We set it up, and now we can inspect what we expect on that process and system. If you don't do that, then what happens is you start things, they fall off. Why did we fall off? It was doing great. I don't know. We start them again, they fall off. That's just the amount of money lost on, lack of training, and then the amount of money lost when you train and then you don't inspect what you expect. It's in our business, and then the experiences, are up and down and up and down. And that's what really how we're going to become better in the car business as dealers. And so we built that tool because the greats that were doing 80% video already, they just looked at us and they said, you guys, what's next? And we were like, I'll tell you what's next. Let's see how good the videos are. And then we actually analyzed, after analyzing 107,000 videos, our first stat that we took, we analyzed the gain from when a good video versus bad videos on a specific scoring line, and it was an additional $59. Now, some of that was, if you don't show it and you don't say it, people aren't going to buy it. But some of it was people followed that steady process, were better about explanations. They did not miss a step. And just doing each step, as you would in F&I. If you go in F&I and you say to the F&I manager, yeah, sell whatever you like. That's, first of all, there's a lot of liability in that. You can't do that. But you can't allow people to just do what they like. It has to be a consistent process so the customer is seeing everything clearly with all their options. And the same applies to a technician in their inspections.
Yeah, it's a great point, because I think just in my experience talking over the years, without having that process and that structure, you go back to your gut or what you would do, and then you're just kind of like your point, you're all over the place. People have different feelings, you have assumptions. So, but I kind of want to pivot a little bit because I have a question about I mean, we've already kind of talked about AI and evolving, but the main focus really has been the communication, right? That's where you guys have focused, fixing the communication, where people meet them where they want to be met. And I think we all know that consumers want to be met and communicated better too. What excites you most about, I guess, like, what are you guys, like, what's the future? Because you've achieved so much in this. I mean, I guess 2017's been a while. It doesn't feel like
No,
it.
it's been a while. Yeah, because we were real learning how to do it.
Yeah.
And, and for the car business, it's probably pretty fast. Like if you just look back, I'll tell you one stat that really bothers me as a dealer, and I feel like a stupid guy when I say this, but 40 years ago, we started multi-point inspections, green, yellow, red, because 70% of customers were defecting after the warranty expired. We said, we got to stop that. Let's do green, yellow, red. Fast forward 40 years, 70% of customers are still defecting. So we've been doing the same thing over and over, and we've been getting the same result, and no one's. And that's where video has really come in and changed that, because an inspection form is really a catalog in which a technician can follow through a systematic way to cover off a vehicle. That's what the best part of it was. Mm-hmm. But trying to use that as communication was an absolute failure. Mm-hmm. So when you look at that 40 years, and then I look at how much it's changed with video in the car business in the last 7, I go, I guess that's fast, for this industry. I was talking to people, and they were looking at me like I had 3 heads on. Now, people come up to me all the time, and they go, hey, man, remember me? I was the guy, and, it changed the way we do business, and thanks so much. And, and it's really cool because I see other dealers and stuff, and it's so great to hear. But, yeah, I think it's been a while, but it's for our business, it seems like it's quicker, and we're trying to speed things up.
Yeah.
So, and then you were just talking about the innovation part. Is that what you were going to ask there? I just didn't want to take you off track.
No, it's okay. I always go off track. It's like squirrel. It's like a thing.
Yeah.
Maybe I have ADD. I don't know. But
That's good.
yeah, it's a good trait, I guess.
It is good. Yeah.
But no, I was going to talk about innovation, and I also had a thought while you were explaining that was, okay, you guys have completely solved this. This is like incredible. But then what is the process, or are you guys looking at, I'm just thinking of myself, like, when I'm presented all this information, if I'm not ready to do it, but I want to do it, how are you providing a solution to further educate me, as I'm talking about me as a consumer, to give me the information? Or is there a process that you're giving dealers to like stay on top of that? Like Kaylee needs this maintenance in 50,000 miles. She's got to do all these things, but she's not quite ready. She's almost there, but she's probably going to go over the 50,000 or 60,000, whatever the mileage is. Are you guys after that? Is that even important? Are you guys looking at that?
Yeah, we're always want to educate the customer and have people know more. So, and there's many ways to do that. And I always think about that when we're, doing analysis. I'll give you a great example. If you look at, I always look at like, how does the customer understand, what we're trying to explain to them, right? So if I'm doing a video and, we go over their tires, like what are the visuals that we can show the customers to explain? So we have what's called pre-roll and post-roll that you can add the video. So the pre-roll could be, hey, what to expect when you're at the dealership today. And then you can get the video from the technician. And then after, if you had tires and we told you where your tires were, and not just yellow, but the size and all that, we can have a post-roll video. What does that actually mean? Like, what does yellow mean? I always say that to people all the time. What does that mean? Well, it means you're between, 4 seconds and whatever.
What means your safety?
Right.
Right?
So I think Dealer Tire has a really good video, right, that shows the stopping power of a car when you're in the different levels and how many car lengths or something. I think like that should be, after we show somebody tires and explain, that post-roll should be to further explain what, the size of your tires mean, please check out this video. And then boom, it should show 8 car lengths if you're in yellow versus green. Does 8 car lengths matter in stopping and stuff like that? So there's many great explanations, but we're figuring out executions to be able to not just talk about tires, but then say, what does tires in that size mean? And then boom, here's an explanation. Because we can't have consistent messaging from thousands of technicians. Technicians, they're all going to say the same things, but in a different way. So why not make it easy for the tech? Why not make it easy for the dealer and the customer by providing those explanations and attaching those to the videos as well, so that customers can understand what does it mean when you're at 3 millimeters or on a brake pad? What does that actually mean? So those are the types of things that we can do. And also visuals. We can, when we analyze tires and wear, you can watch the video and then slide, and then it can show actual pictures of your tires and the wear and stuff like that, so that you can then, really understand what was meant by that. So those are the technologies and things that we have that we can add, whether it's video or whether it's pictures. We're using augmented reality now, where we're able to draw and do all sorts of things so that we can point things out to customers and they could see differences of what a good tire is versus what their tire looks like. And so anything that helps someone understand what's happening is a good thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and then, okay, so what about, let's say you present all this information to me and I'm like, okay, this is good. I want to do this, but I don't want to do this right now. What's the process, or are you guys looking at that type? Because I don't want to say the decline service, but in a way it's declining it for now.
That is a decline. Yeah,
yeah.
Some people, listen, affordability is a big thing in America. If you're not paying attention to that and you look at the credit cards and how they're at a high today versus where they were 4 years ago, really that's where the advisor, where do we come in on that? As TruVideo, we come in when someone needs time or wants to do it. Obviously you can pay by time if you're using our TruVideo platform, with the, people like Sunbit, et cetera. Everybody has that. I guess the thing for us is reminding the customer of why they were in and what happened. So repurposing that video, and when you send out that reminder in a month, reattaching that video to say, hey, listen, as a reminder, we included the video to show you again, because we never know, do they need to see it again to understand it better? Did they forget? Did they need the video to share with someone else? We're just going to try to be as transparent as possible and, use that video for the situation that you just brought up, Kaylee. So I didn't get it. I couldn't afford it at the time. And then when I do send that reminder, could you also remind me like what happened? Because I can't remember. I didn't save that on my phone. So that's where video is being repurposed for those customers who couldn't afford it or who didn't do it at that moment in time.
Yeah, I needed more time. So rather than going after them with like the hard sell, you're just giving them education. You're like, here,
that's all you have to do, really. You have really smart experts working on cars, and all you have to do is communicate very well, and customers will do business with you when you're providing value. This is an exact example of what you hear when you go to that college class that says, if you provide value, people pay up. You know what I mean? You're like, okay, can you give me a live example of that? And then the teacher will show you 5 examples. In our business, this is a great example. You're showing value, you're showing transparency, you're explaining things, you're helping people feel comfortable with what is an uncomfortable thing for many people. And you have to put ourselves in the customer's shoes. And then people are paying up for that sort of experience.
Yeah. Well, they are. And I think we forget how much, I think sometimes I forget our safety. The vehicle, that is completely, our life is in there, and our children. I think I didn't realize until I had children. So I was like, oh, I should really pay attention to these things because I need a safe vehicle.
No, it does matter. And just maintaining vehicles, cost of ownership is better when they're maintained. Mm-hmm. Having, dealers that have, the records of the vehicle being serviced, customers generally get more for their cars when they can show that they have the records of all the service that was done at the dealership. It builds confidence. Sometimes that's even recorded, on the Carfax. It shows all the services were there and really builds value in their car while they're taking care of it. So there's a lot of reasons why, working through the dealerships has been, just getting better and better and better. And dealership, despite sales getting a little spotty through some of the tariff action, service and parts sales have been incredibly resilient and growing, despite the market maybe backing up on retail a little bit. So It's very important to get it right. You have to really, really, really value each interaction when these people walk in. It's very important to your long-term viability.
And it's very clear that you see that and you created a solution that really is that. I mean, one thing I wanted to ask too, I thought of, because I've talked to so many people in this industry, and it's incredible, the entrepreneurs and the ability. Like, you are running. I guess I'm trying to think of the question I want to ask you is, how are you running these businesses, like the multiple businesses, really?
So generally, dealers that have multiple dealerships, they build up a team in a group that actually runs the stores on a day-to-day basis. General managers, variable ops, and a fixed ops. Let's say you build up a structure. And then what most dealers do that aren't crazy like me and go do technology is, like, if I wasn't doing this, I would probably spending my time looking at buying stores and then integrating those stores into the group. So the good news is I've been doing TruVideo. The bad news is I haven't really bought any more dealerships since I started doing TruVideo. So we're not, I'm just growing what we have, but differently. Instead of more dealerships, we have dealerships and we have software. So it's a little bit of a diversification. And I really just think that's from a business perspective, business mind. But that's how we run them. We would normally not be running the stores anyway. We would be having key people, and I've got a couple of partners that are incredibly helpful and run the stuff. So it's like we're in good shape. Normally, again, I think I'd be spending all my time buying stores and growing, and that's a lot of work right there. So you have to have a good structure set up when you're going to go off and be doing these new deals. And I just happen to use that structure to spend 95% of my time here.
That makes sense. Yeah, that's incredible. And you clearly have a passion for it, right? You wouldn't do it if you didn't like it. I mean,
Yeah, of course I have a passion for it. I'm just like I'm on airplanes, talking at things, speaking at events, doing all these different things, and I'm just look. I love car business. I love the OEMs and dealer friends I have. They're some of the greatest people in the world, and we take care of our local communities like nobody's business. And we're really hyper local, and I want to preserve that. And I think it's a great industry with great people. And in order to preserve that, my part is going to be, how can we make the customer experience better? How can we beat these new incomers with better experiences and treatment than they could ever come up with, besides buying a car online or whatever they think is going to happen or doesn't happen? Like, it's really about after you buy the car, and that's what we're focused on. And even on sales, I mean, we power many of the largest CRMs in the United States, but communicating with customers in video on a used car, the car is, you're going to drive an hour, here's the car we have in the condition that you want with the equipment that you expect. You know what I mean? Make people feel. So video is a huge, huge move, especially when people want to buy remote or trade remote. We have software that sends a link to the customer that allows them to take a video of their car and send that back to the dealer. And it does the same technology we have, where it processes on the phone, sends it to the cloud, and then processes it again when it arrives, so that we can properly appraise a car or look at cars for trade-in. So video is really everywhere in the customer experience in the auto space.
yeah, it really is. And it's almost like you're bringing that, or not almost, you are bringing that human element that is needed. Where if you look at Carvana, what's the other one, CarMax, the whole online, you don't get that human, that video, that personal, and that's what you guys really have created. So it's just more people need to know about it, I think. I think a lot of people know about it, but
Yeah, everybody in service knows about it now. If you're not doing video in service, you're not really in the game, and you're not optimizing the customer experience and or revenue. So the lucky thing for those dealers are, this year, when they go to do their budget and say, hey, next year I'm going to do this, if they add video, they can add $50, $60 in labor per repair order, and they're going to blow it up. The dealers that are really good, they're going to start focusing on quality, and they're going to blow it up. Because when you go in, and I have my parts director and I have my service director, and those guys are going, what are we doing next year? November is where we finalize our budgeting at the dealership side. what they do is they're going to come to me and say, well, here's the numbers I'm going to hit. And I'm like, well, what's the repair order growth? Or what's the dollars per repair order growth and parts per repair order growth? Like, where is the growth coming from? And they better be able to explain it correctly, because hope is not a strategy. So that's the way we do it. Now, when you're doing executions like changing the way you communicate, you can show, I'm going to hit this number because here's what we're going to do. We're going to be doing 75% of all our customer facing videos. We're going to be following up like this. We're going to be, and that's where you can show like there is a how behind the number that you're presenting for the year.
This has been the best podcast I think I've had in a while. Like, I wasn't sure what to expect. I had never met you. I've gotten introduced by acquaintances. I've known of what you guys have done. But I feel like I need to do a part 2 with you because I have more questions. We're out of time. My last question is just to wrap up. I guess this could be a long answer, but like when you think about the next 5 to 10 years, what do you see in innovation and communication, fixed ops? Really, that's what I want to know about. And that's already what you're focusing on. But yeah, what do you see?
So there's a lot of stuff we're working on. Some of it I hold back a little because I sometimes I tell people ideas, and then what they do is they hear other people hear it and say, oh no, we can do that, and they really can't. Like the video quality score. There's people that have said, oh, we can do that, and I'm like, we have a guy that's trained if you take a weapon out in an airport, they can detect from object detection. That guy works for us now doing it with cars and stuff. And when other people say they have the same stuff we have, it kind of upsets me. But let me tell you I can tell you what we're doing. Augmented reality is going to be a big thing. Being able to go up, draw stuff. We've been contacted by the top of tops for glasses and integrating our video tech into the glasses so that you're able to wear the glasses, draw. You're able to do multiple things, where you're explaining things better with the customers. So you have that augmented reality. We're able to read things from the video, so a VIN number, or you're able to read a part number. There's all these different things that we're able to do, and there's so many different things we're doing with machine learning. You're going to see in messaging and texting, rich communication services, which is called RCS, that you'll get a text from your company, and it'll have the company logo on top with a blue check mark. So that's the company that sent it to you. And
that's important.
It's very important. So what they're doing is really cleaning up. The beauty of messaging is people want to be messaged from their favorite brands. The bad part is you get a thing that says, this is Amazon, click on this link, we'll give you a virus, and it's not Amazon. And then forget about all the political texts you get. I don't know why they're allowed to send out a million texts out and drive me nuts. But at the end of the day, when you see the way in which all these things are improving, and when you have RCS, you're going to be able to go through carousels, you're going to be able to make an appointment. I think that most of the agents that you see today, and we actually power a bunch of agents for the leading companies out there. It's going to be done through messaging. It's going to be done. People aren't going to be on a phone. It's going to be messaged, which is actually better for the bot or the agent because they're able to, there's no background noise to it. It's very clear what the customer is requesting. But rich communication services, if you're making an appointment in service, as an example, it'll show you pictures of 2 cars. One of them is this car, and that you're going to select your car. Then it's going to give you appointments, 9, 10, 11. You're going to be able to select. So it's like an app-like experience inside your text message, as well as that branded communication that you got with the name on the top.
So that's coming? You guys already have that, or that's coming? Because that's a topic I bring up all the time, and how messed up it is to schedule appointments.
Yeah.
Why do they make people call?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's kind of funny. And, we've tested things right now with an agent at one of my dealerships where we don't even have a scheduler on the page.
Oh.
Yeah, because
Okay.
schedulers, I think, are terrible. So we did no matter which one you use, I don't care. How many appointments did we make this month with the scheduler? Take the scheduler off. How many appointments did we make when someone was able to message back and forth with the concierge? Measure those two and see which one is better. You could take a guess.
The messaging one, yeah.
Yeah, the agent, the concierge. I call it concierge. Hey, what about Tuesday? What about Wednesday?
But you know, one thing that I've seen, and I mean, maybe it's improved, but I got a message, scheduled this appointment. You were prepared for this, but or it was something I declined, and they're like, "Hey, you declined this. You want to come in? I'm ready for it. Yeah, okay. Show me the appointments." And they're like, "Okay, we're gonna call you, or someone's gonna call you to schedule to finish it." It's like, no, I
No,
don't want you to call me. And
no.
guess what? No one called me.
You know, the problem with most of the stuff that I've noticed is like I have service managers that try to protect their schedule and they box off so much time, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right. And so they box off so much time and they're like, no, 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 I got to save it just in case people come in. And meanwhile, we're
Oh, there's that.
blowing
Yeah.
appointments we could have had.
Uh huh.
And so whenever those agents or if you're using one or any of the dealers out there, you have to make sure that you're pretty aggressive in how you set your scheduler because it's not the scheduler. People call in and that agent on the call is referencing your scheduler to see if they can take the customer or not, right?
Yeah.
Before they were like, nah, we have the online scheduler. You can make appointments in this window like this, but the rest you have to call in. Well, that's
No.
not what the customer wanted. Now I
Nope.
put in an agent. You better take that scheduler and open it up because that's the benchmark on the agent making the appointments. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of, a lot of new stuff that people are going to have to get used to and get comfortable
It
with.
is.
But
Because I brought it up recently, and someone pushed back again of like, hey, well, what about shop efficiency? Like certain techs can do certain things, or no, you can't teach tech those. I'm like, well, tech can learn the way that your shop is running and the certain types of techs that
yeah,
you have, right? I mean,
well, the answer to the
who are we
question,
in?
the
Yeah.
way you beat that question is you go, what percentage of your work that you take in today is X, Y, or Z? And you'll see like at an import store, it'll be 75% is just maintenance. And then this small percentage. So when you go, all right, does your scheduler congruent with what you just told me? And they'll go, no, but my excuse is certain jobs come in. No, no, we just said certain jobs are only this percentage. Like what you're making stuff up, right? So I'm so used to it having guys ask me questions in my own business and saying and contradicting them. But
Oh yeah.
no,
I
we're all
think
going to
that's the
learn.
upper hand you have, being like actually working in the dealership and running dealerships, and then also having that
Yeah,
tech. Like, you have the upper hand.
they're just great people. They just don't understand that they have to get out of their comfort zone and they have to let the math. It's the same with used cars when we started doing used cars and, and analysis of pre-owned with all the information we had, It's everybody has an opinion, but what does the market say? And the same rules apply. What does the customer say when it comes to service, and what does the math say in terms of appointment and shop efficiency? But look, the future is bright. When you talk about RCS in messaging, when you talk about glasses, when we talk about what we're able to do, draw, different things that we're able to do with different OEMs in terms of video for warranty, which is another thing that OEMs have called us directly about. So there's so many great things that are happening. We're just going to keep stepping it up. And because we have so many partners and we do so many videos, we're hoping that we can just, everybody every year, instead of just having video as something that sits over there, is going to get an upgrade. And the upgrade this year is like, hey, can I trim the front and can I trim the back? Can I give a thumbs up and then let the technician know I love the video? All these different features we're releasing next year, they're all upgrades for our clients. So we're just going to keep pushing the envelope so that we don't stay slow like we normally would in the car business.
That's impressive. And that's the perfect way to wrap up, because I could probably sit here and ask you a bunch of questions. Is there anything you want to add as we wrap it up? Is there anything you want to say? It's okay if you don't, because you've said a lot.
No. Look, I think these are promising times for us, and we need to leverage technology to just do the best job and give the customers the best experience. And when we do that, we make the most money simultaneously. So it's really about getting better. And then when we're really good and when we're better, we're going to be able to save and protect this industry and this business the way we know it today. So
Yeah, that's awesome. And you guys are going to be at NADA, correct?
correct.
Okay, so it's okay if you don't have the booth information, but if you guys are listening and want to find them, they're going to be at NADA. So
Yeah, come
thanks
by
so
the
much.
booth. It's going to
Oh,
be CES style. We'll have the glasses. We're going to have RCS. Our whole booth is new technologies. We're not sitting there to sell anything to anybody. We're there to show everybody all the new stuff that's going to come out in the next 2 years.
Oh, that's fun.
So it's really designed to do that in damage detection on
Actually
cars,
use it.
all sorts of
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh, that's the best way to do it. I love that. I'm stopping by. So thanks so much, Joe for coming on the show.
You got it.